my name is Meena. I'm from BNZ. I work as a senior platforms engineer. And now before I go ahead, is anyone here from BNZ? No one. So that makes it much more easier for me. Cool. So yeah, my name is Meena again, and I've been with working in analytics space for last about almost 20 years in sort of different sort of roles, like starting from a basic reporting role to, like when I started off, there was no job title such as data scientist. So I was like sort of doing a lot of statistical analysis, but I had a job title as data analyst. And then I moved on to managing data warehouses. And then from there, I slowly moved on to being a platform administrator, administering one application in an on-prem server. And then from there, I moved on into a role in cloud, and now I'm a cloud platforms engineer. So I thought I'll just give you a background. Now that will lead you to this presentation. Now, I'm going to actually set the scene really well for my other speakers to come along. I'm going to take you through few scenarios first. And I want you to just listen to it carefully and just be completely involved in it. Imagine that you are in that situation. Okay? Cool. So let's start. So imagine you're working as an administrator, managing a legacy system, an application in an on-prem server, right? Now, this data platform is owned by business, and they don't really have any platform management expertise. So what would that be? Anyone? Can you imagine some of the drawbacks in that?
Expensive.
Sorry?
Expensive maintenance.
Yeah, expensive maintenance, yeah.
Like also like $8,500 per hour.
Yeah.
All that. Rely on the vendor of the platform.
Yeah, so there was heavy reliance on the vendor of the platform, yeah. And they were also solely, there was just one person in the business team who was an administrator of the platform. And he was the only person who sort of knew what was happening in the platform. And there was no one else who knew, and there were no best practices followed, and there was no real governance. Just imagine yourself being in that situation. And I'm talking about an application which is a very critical application that was used for generating some critical reports for compliance purpose. And this application was installed in one bare metal server with development environment, production environment, and test environment in one bare metal server, sharing the same binaries. And if something went wrong with the reporting, the business could actually lose the license to conduct business. And to top it up, you would normally have situations where you need to do hotfix. And how would you do it if they're sharing the same binaries? And in some situations, we have just turned on the DR server to do the hotfix and see what happens there before we deployed it. Right? And now, the server was about 8 or 9 years old, and the operation system was pretty outdated and it was not supported at all. It felt like we were in a ticking time bomb. So imagine yourself in that situation. And the data platform had the source code that the analyst would run, and it would also have the data sets that would be generated from those jobs. And to top it up, it also had Christmas pictures and some PDF files, some Word documents, so many other stuff. And there was this constant pressure, like, okay, there's not enough space in the server, I can't run my job, and suddenly the server would slow down completely, right? And again, you would have guessed from the previous point, lack of source control. So if anyone would make a change, you would sort of figure out that there was a change made based on the last modified date. You wouldn't have a clue about what else has changed. And lack of monitoring and alerts. So when a server would completely slow down or come to a grinding halt, you came to know about it because a user called you or sent an email to you. And lack of flexibility when it comes to integrating with data sources. Right? So in some instances, it was just so difficult to integrate it with anything else, where the users had to just get the data, put it in an Excel workbook or a CSV file, and then upload it somewhere else for reporting, maybe using Tableau or Power BI or any other platform. And once again, so it's not agile as well, right? So you have that one application in that one server. And as you know, the data scientist requirements keep changing. So people would want to use different tools, different technologies. But that flexibility, that agility was not offered to the data scientist or for our users in general. And there was lack of process or governance around credential management. So in some cases, we actually noticed even usernames and passwords embedded in some of the source codes. Right? So you can imagine yourself how stressful this would be. And I was put in the situation. And that one person who knew about this passed away. And it was just too difficult. I was put in a situation where there was just complete nightmare. So many things happening, server wouldn't work, and suddenly things would slow down, no monitoring, no alerts, and you can imagine, right? Now, if you had imagined that this would have happened like 10 or 15 years ago, that's realistic, you could be excused for it, right? But this is something that has happened like recently, and there are several organizations who do have data platforms like this. Now, it doesn't mean that they are just stuck with this, but they would want to make the change. But it's just working with the technology teams becomes very difficult or impossible for them, because of their changing requirements, and they want their tools, their deliverables to be met on time. Right? So then that becomes a challenge for them. So there is always this disconnect between the business and the technology teams. And now there are, like especially within the bank, with Bank of New Zealand where I'm working, we are making like good progress in moving in the right direction. Where currently we have deployed, we have implemented a good standard for how analytics jobs can run. And it's slowly in transition, but we are onboarding more new customers as we speak. And I'll take you through that now. Not sure how clear this is, but that's fine. So, this is a recent deployment that we have done, and then the box that you can see, the colored box that you can see on the screen, is where our AWS resources are deployed for our analytics jobs to run. So the main platform that we are using for these jobs to run is EMR cluster in AWS, where the best part of it is scalability, right? So depending on the jobs that they run, the nodes and the core nodes, the worker nodes can actually scale up. So the traditional issues that the users had about not having enough space or things slowing down when their jobs are running, is just removed. The scalability aspect that comes with the cloud migration is just absolutely amazing. And now I'm just going to talk from a user's perspective, the benefits of this. So first is having the scalability, right? Providing them with a platform which scales up and down to their requirements. And also with data sources, right? Like with data, we are actually providing them with clear pathways on how they could actually save their data, the outputs of their analysis back into Snowflake. We have some integration with Snowflake, and then we have some integrations with some S3 buckets where they can actually save their data set, and they can use them again, reuse them more comfortably and in a safe storage space. And also providing enough encryption and stuff. And also secret management. So we have integrated our systems with Vault, for instance, or like within AWS services such as Secrets Manager or Parameter Store. So we've provided them with that. So from a user's perspective, it's just really easy and comfortable for them to actually just run their jobs and not worry about exposing their credentials. And also, best part of it is the source control. Right? So wherein multiple, obviously I don't have to explain it further, but wherein many people can contribute to the code, and there is more transparency of what's happening compared to what they have been experiencing in the past. And also having a proper scheduler, again in the cloud, integrated well with the platform where they can actually schedule their jobs and run their jobs more comfortably. And also making use of more functionalities from GitHub, such as GitHub runner instances, where you have the opportunity to have a self-hosted GitHub runner instance. So having this flexibility and also the alerts and log files. So we have integrated our system to make sure that the logs are sent through to Splunk. So they don't really need access to the server at all. The logs are sent to Splunk. And we have also created some fancy dashboards from the logs where they can actually monitor how their jobs are performing. And also having the Cloud Watch and the cloud metrics that we have access to in AWS space, for instance, has just made the job work much more easier for them. And from a platform administrator point of view, there is so much more control over this, right? Especially infrastructure as code. The aspect that you can actually deploy this in different environments, isolated environments. And even if something happens to a development instance, for example, you can actually recreate it much more easily and comfortably because of this infrastructure as code. So that's the main beauty of it, right? Just being able to recreate it and also being able to scale up the service and also offer latest technology for the data engineers and data scientists to use. And again, the cloud metrics. Again, I can't talk enough of it because we just had a production incident last week. And gosh, those cloud metrics just really, really saved us. And also the vendor support that you get from the cloud space is just absolutely amazing. And again, we have integrated all of it with some alerts that we get sent to like centralized addresses, and there is a team who support the platform rather than individuals. So that's the basic gist of this talk. So again, unfortunately, I'm not able to provide any numbers as such because we are currently working on onboarding new customers into this platform. And besides this platform, we are also working on another platform which is called as data lab. So this is more, this platform is more, we have set this up for people to actually schedule their jobs and run their jobs on a regular basis. But for people who want to just do ad hoc analysis in the cloud space, we have created another platform where we have several different Python packages available for them, and R and Scala and Spark. Anything that they want to work on, they have access to it. So providing this has just really made a difference to our end users and also to us as platform administrators. Thank you.